Hi guys, so today I thought it would be fun to try and tier rank every single book that I read in the year of 2020. That's a total of 50 books, and you guys know my thoughts for probably about half of them because I only started my channel in December, and so I've talked about the same few books a couple of times, but I think there are several books that you guys haven't heard me talk about or I've not really mentioned. So here I have all 50 books that I've read. They're not in any particular order, I just kind of tried to put them together by series if they are part of a series. So because I am just such a massive Bob's Burgers fan, of course I had to make each of the tiers of Bob's Burgers related. So I'll explain the tiers to you guys right now. At the very top we have It's You, which is how Bob reacts whenever he finds the perfect turkey to cook for Thanksgiving. So he just goes crazy whenever he finds the absolute perfect turkey to cook.
Yes, it's you.
Really?
Really?
Yes! Come on, let's go get stuffing. Come on!
You're the one!
Come on!
And that is how I feel about these books. These books are absolutely glorious. They are perfect. They are amazing. And I love them with my whole heart. Coming in right under that, we have Teacher's Pet, which is from the episode where Bob becomes a substitute home ec teacher for the kids at their school. And Tina is very excited because it means she has an opportunity to finally become Teacher's Pet. And that basically means that it's almost perfect. I enjoyed it a lot, but it's not quite top tier. Coming in under that, right in the middle, we have Alright, which is something that Linda says quite a bit. So it just basically means that I enjoyed it enough. It wasn't amazing in any way for the most part. And yeah, it was okay. Under that, we have Melted Coochie Kopi, which happens when Louise is sick and her family accidentally melts her most beloved treasure.
I mean, look what they did. Look at his face. He's hideous.
Okay, that's not necessary.
Basically, it's just for the books that I didn't really enjoy, but I didn't hate. They just kind of left me underwhelmed. And then at the very bottom, for the worst books tier, we have Your Lies.
What's for lunch today?
Your lies!
No! That's what we had yesterday.
So I think that perfectly encapsulates the worst books, the books that I absolutely, truly can say that I hated, that I did not enjoy any aspect of. So now that I've explained all of that, let's jump right into the actual tier ranking. Okay, so it looks like we're starting off with An Enchantment of Ravens, which is by Margaret Rogerson. And I liked this book, but it wasn't amazing in any way. So I think I gave it like a 3 stars or something. Yeah, I think it's just alright because the ending left me super underwhelmed, but I enjoyed most of the rest of the book. Normal People, I don't think I feel strongly enough to actually hate it. I don't feel anything about it really, so Melted Coochie Kopi it is. And then Circe, same boat, don't really care about it. A Court of Thorns and Roses. Okay, I'm a little bit conflicted about these books because I loved them so much when I started reading them, but after reading Sarah J Maas's other fantasy stories as well as other just general fantasy books since then, I feel like I don't know if I enjoyed it that much. This is tough. Okay, I'm gonna put it in Teacher's Pet for now. I might change it later, but Teacher's Pet. And then A Court of Mist and Fury. I do remember enjoying this one more, even though it was so long. I think because of everything that happened in it, it was definitely more interesting. If I had to like specifically tier rank it, I would say ACOMAF and then ACOTAR and then probably ACOWAR, but you know, this is just a general ranking. And then this one, I'm gonna just say alright because I don't remember too much from this book. The only things that I do remember, I remember not really loving. It wasn't the best out of the books, so I'm gonna put it down here. And then this book, again, just underwhelming. A Curse So Dark and Lonely, that's definitely Teacher's Pet. This second book, however, Heart So Fierce and Broken, Your Lies for sure. I felt so deceived by this book. I'm not gonna go into it again. Six of Crows. Oh, this is tough. I think Teacher's Pet and then Crooked Kingdom is It's You for sure, top tier. Dark and Deepest Red. This is the first book that I've ever read by Anna Miclemore, and It was really interesting because it wasn't at all what I expected. I just thought it was going to be a Red Shoes retelling, but it was so much more than that. But I gotta say, the story overall left me pretty, I don't know, it wasn't that interesting. I think I'm gonna go with alright. Okay, next we have Enchante, which is a book I read fairly recently. This one's definitely just alright. There were things that I liked about it, but for the most part, didn't really stand out. Heartless, oh, this is tough because I did enjoy this book, but I don't know if I would put it in Teacher's Pet. I don't know if I liked it that much. Whoa, this tier ranking is actually harder than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be pretty straightforward, but I'm gonna just put it in alright for now, which is kind of sad. I feel like it's right in between the two, but we gotta put it somewhere. Sarah J. Maas's House of Earth and Blood. I think if you guys have watched my last video, you know exactly where this is going, and that's right up there in It's You, because that is my perfect turkey. Assassin's Blade, I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping for a little bit more with this book. It wasn't bad by any means. Maybe it's just I don't really care that much for prequels in general. So I'm gonna put this in Melted Coochie Kopi because when I read it, I was just like, I actually read this book, I think last. I don't remember exactly what order I read them in, but I do know that I didn't read Assassin's Blade first. I think I read it towards the end or after Kingdom of Ash, so it was just whatever. Throne of Glass, Now, for those of you who have read this series, I feel like it's really tricky to rate each one individually because so much happens, but at the same time, they kind of get muddled if you read them all together like I did. So remembering what happens in each individual one is a little tough, especially when it's been so many months. But Throne of Glass, oh, that's tough. I think I'm gonna put that in all right. And then Crown of Midnight, also all right. I think I didn't like it as much as Throne of Glass, but I also can barely remember what happened in that book. Heir of Fire. This one is really, really hard because I didn't like most of that book because it was just kind of painful in the sense of like what Selena is going through is painful and therefore we're stuck in that. But there were some good aspects, but it was mainly only towards the end. So I think I'm gonna put it in Melted Coochie Kopi because I remember being a little bit disappointed by that. Queen of Shadows, that's when she comes back. Oh, this is so tough. I really don't remember. I'm not gonna lie, Queen of Shadows and Empire of Storm, I really don't remember what happens in them, like what differentiates them. I think Queen of Shadows, I'll probably put in all right. Empire of Storms, I really can't remember. There's like storylines I remember happening, but I don't remember which book they happened in. This sucks. I should have like brushed up on them so I can really remember. Tower of Dawn, I gotta say Teacher's Pet, I think, which is surprising because this story is actually from the perspective of Chaol. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's literally the stupidest thing ever because it's spelled like Chowl, which is how I was calling him. That's literally the way I was calling him for the first like 2 or 3 books before I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's Chaol, I think. So hate that. Didn't really like his character, but this book was pretty standout. And then Kingdom of Ash obviously needs to go up to top tier, no question about that. Next we have the Bob's Burgers comics, very fitting, obviously. Let's see. I think the first one I will give, I think the first one I'll give Teacher's Pet because it was for sure better than the rest of them. The second one, Well Done, I will give all right. And the last one I will for sure give Melted Coochie Kopi. Wishing Moon, this is one of my favorite childhood reads that I recently reread. And I think Teacher's Pet, I love that book. Even with, you know, the flaws of it being like a middle grade kind of book, it for sure is just so nostalgic and great for me. Moon Without Magic, however, for sure Melted Coochie Kopi. Don't even know why that book exists. To All the Boys I've Loved 4. I did enjoy this book series, surprisingly enough. But where each one falls into, I definitely don't think I liked any of them enough to put them anything higher than all right, probably, really. Always and Forever, Laura Jean. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I'm gonna just put all 3 of these books in this tier because I did enjoy them, but I can't say that I loved them. So yeah, especially when next we have Cruel Prince. The Folk of the Air series is one of my favorites now. For sure gonna go higher than that. So Cruel Prince, I would say Teacher's Pet, The Wicked King, Teacher's Pet 2, The Queen of Nothing. I feel like, can you guys already see the trend of where things are falling? Like the last books in all of the series that I enjoy, they are all going into It's You, the top tier, because they're all such great endings to these books series. How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. This one's a little tough because it was mainly very, very simple stories. I would say all right, because I did enjoy it, but to be honest, there wasn't anything that special about it. Recipe for a Perfect Wife. Definitely got to put that in Teacher's Pet. I really did enjoy that one. So next we have A Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I would say I enjoyed this one more than her other book, An Enchantment of Ravens, because it was longer for sure. Both are standalone fantasy novels, which is really cool to see because I don't think you see that super often in fantasy. But there was still some stuff lacking with it. Again, it should be right in between Teacher's Pet and All Right because I enjoyed it more than An Enchantment of Ravens, but I don't think I would put it up as the same level as some of these other books. So I think All Right is gonna be where it has to go. And then Star Daughter, we're not gonna talk about that mess. The Afterlife of Holly Chase, yeah, okay. It would go into All Right. I was actually kind of torn between All Right and Melted Coochie Kopi, but I can't say that I disliked that much about it. It was just kind of underwhelming overall. I enjoyed it generally, but it wasn't like that great. So a little bit torn, but I think that's where it goes. And then the Selection series. This series might be a little bit contentious just because people either really love this series, and mostly those are people who like are nostalgic for this series, they grew up reading it, or they really hate it and they think it's horrible, and I kind of fall in between. It wasn't nostalgic for me because I read it for the first time a few months ago, but I can see, I mean, it's like early 2000s, you know, like kind of young adult teen fantasy romance, so I can see the appeal of it. I definitely did not love this series, but it's definitely kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I was actually just thinking about it the other day and if I would want to reread it, even though there were a lot of things I didn't enjoy about it. But the Selection will put in All Right, The Elite. This is, again, I read all 5 of these books in a row, so I don't really remember what happens in every single one of them. But I think I'll put The Elite in no. The thing is, I don't remember what ratings I gave for these either, or like what I really thought about them. I thought the series in general was very lukewarm. So yeah, I think The Elite and The One will go in All Right. And then the final 2 books, which if you guys don't know, are about the daughter of the main character in the first 3 books. She is a hot mess and I do not like her. I don't think anybody really likes her, to be honest. So I think that for sure this one goes into Melted Coochie Kopi, and so does this one. Yeah, let's not separate them because they're both equally kind of trash. Next we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I don't want to talk about this book ever again anymore. I can't say that I hate it enough that it was in Your Lies, but it was definitely disappointing. So there it goes. Next to The Crown. The Queen's Assassin. Oh man, these library books are always really hard for me to rate in general because I kind of expect not to necessarily love them because they are random books that have been recommended to me versus something that I picked out with my own taste. So this book was not very good at all. The writing was so immature and everything, but I don't know. All right, that's where it goes. Song of Achilles, for sure it's you. The Wrath and the Dawn, I would say Teacher's Pet, for sure. And then The Rose and the Dagger is all right. And then the last and final book, I have To Kill a Kingdom. And I loved this book. I enjoyed it so much. This was actually the very first book that I journaled about in my book journal. So it has a special place in my heart for sure. I would say Teacher's Pet because I also love the main characters and everything that happened in it. So here we go. That was actually super fast. I didn't know how long it was gonna take because 50 books can be a lot to go through, but that was really fun. That was also really, really fast. And yeah, here are my rankings overall. So in It's You, we only have a total of 5 books. Every single book was on my best reads of 2020 list. I shouldn't be surprised because it's my top 5, and of course these are my literal top 5. That is actually hilarious though. This is a big spoiler if you haven't watched that video yet. And then in Teacher's Pet, we have a good number of books. I would say, yeah, these are all pretty solid. I don't think that I would change the rankings for any of these for sure. And then, all right, we have the bulk of the books, which I think is to be expected because a lot of these books were just kind of middle of the road for me. If I would have added like 1 or 2 more rows, I think that a few of these books would have fit into some other tiers, but I think that the middle tier is definitely right for these right now. And then Melted Coochie Kopi, yeah, for sure. All of these books are books that I just didn't enjoy as much as I thought. I think that's why most of these ended up in this tier. It wasn't necessarily that I disliked them entirely. It was also the disappointment in what I thought was going to be good versus, you know, I think these 2 are probably the only ones that don't fit in that category where like I kind of went in knowing they weren't going to be good because people talk so much shit about them. And then the final category, Your Lies. We have these 2 books, which I actually thought there might be 1 or 2 more books that might join them. I didn't know, I didn't have anything specifically in mind. I just didn't think they were literally going to be the only ones in this tier, but they definitely fit there. But yeah, I hope this video was fun for you guys. It's really fun for me to do. I've always wanted to do one of these tier ranking videos, and I figured, you know what? I might as well do it with all of the books that I read in 2020 because this is gonna be my last 2020 related video, and I thought it would just be nice to go off with something fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I had fun making it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.